I've roughed out the carving on the bulbous portion of the tripod table post or column. Mostly using some templates and carving tools and scraper tools to get those shapes on this part of the column. Also, the quatrefoil, the cluster of columns is shaped out. So there's 4 columns here in this quatrefoil cross-sectional shape. So now the next part is to work on the bottom turning here, where the table leg will join into the bottom of the post, and there's a dovetail joint that connects these pieces. So if you look at the bottom face of the post in SketchUp, there's a full-size template here, and I've cut that out and pasted it to some cardboard. So it has poster board. So there, it has the dovetail shapes cut out, and also has the flats on which the table leg will be against. So the part of this round section will be removed so that there are flats for the leg to sit on. So these flats were marked out first by pencil using the template, and then I scored it with a sharp knife. So I've got all these cut locations knifed out. So the next stage will be then to cut these flats, and that will be done either on the bandsaw or with a hand saw. I'm starting to mark out the location of the flat cutout, which would be across this area right here. And I've made a little flat V-cut area here that's the one end of the flat, and I need that to help with the hand sawing, and so that I'll have a good position of this flat area across its length. Now I'm ready to get that flat V-cut area on this other end of the cutout. And the first thing I'll do is score it a little bit with a knife. So I'll just come down that pencil line. Shallow cut here. Okay. Now the next step is to try to take out a little material into that cut using a chisel to slice in perpendicular to the face of that flat area. And I need to score this down up here. And let's see if we can get that little sliver out of there. Okay. Now I want to deepen that flat. I'm going to rotate this a little bit more toward, so I've got that vertical. I'm just going to push down to, I want to increase the length of that flat. I have my fingers underneath that chisel when I push down. Now I should be able to get a little bit more flat, another sliver out of this. I might try to take too much of a bite, but we'll see. Okay. See if that will ease out of there. Now I tried to take too much of a bite there, probably. See if I can clean that up a little bit. Trying to push down vertical in line with that, with where that flat will go. And maybe I could just scrape some of that out of there. Okay, so now I've got a perimeter of that. This whole wedge has got to come out of here, creating this flat here. So I will use a hand saw and saw that little sliver out of there. I think I'm ready to saw this flat area out, and to help position the saw I've also used a knife to just cut out a little wedge here so that the teeth of this saw will be positioned there. And I'll start with the small crosscut teeth to get a saw cut started, and then switch to the long grain teeth and come across here, and I think I'll be going back and forth this way and this way as I continue down this this cut, watching this vertical line closely. It's also been chipped out a little bit, so I can come down I don't like all the vibrations, but there's not much. I got it up, clamped up pretty high here. I might be able to position that lower and clamp on this bulbous section, but let me see how far I can go here. Now I want to turn around and come at that cut in the other direction. And now I can come down on this vertical. And maybe just try to cut straight down. I'm going to try to clamp that a little bit lower, see if I can eliminate some of this vibration. I tried to clamp that down lower, but I'm worried I'm going to damage some of the carving here, so I'll just continue to tolerate this vibration. Maybe if I switch to the smaller teeth, there'll be less. I think I'll be able to finish this off in a horizontal arrangement here, and I need to make a vertical cut at this location here, which is the top of the leg will fit up against that shoulder, so I need to cut down here, and I'm just getting a little bit of a flat and shoulder here for the alignment of the saw. Alright. I think that intersects with the vertical cut. See if I can finish this off with the horizontal position of the saw. let's just try the that goes faster. Alright, close. Yeah, that's going to come out of there. Alright, that's a pretty nice flat. I'll just need to chisel out a little piece back in there, and that'll work quite well. A little bit tougher with the than I expected it to be because of that vibration and the difficulty in holding it vertically, but I think the result is acceptable. Alright, a little bit more. Alright, that's pretty nicely flat, I think. And well, now I've got this dovetail cut to make in this flat area. And that's going to take a few different steps. I'm getting ready to saw out the dovetail socket in the end, and it's probably hard to see, but the dovetail socket is drawn in pencil here and then knifed out, and that was made when I used this template to mark those dovetail sockets. So then the next step was to run the edge of the dovetail socket down the length of this portion of the turning, and I did that using a square and knifed that edge down there. And this is about 3/8 of an inch wide here. So the next step is to cut a hole at the very end, up here at the end, so that I can use a handsaw, and there's an empty place for the sawdust to collect as I saw down through this. So to make that hole back there, I'll use a brace and bit. As I said, it's 3/8 of an inch, so I'll fasten that in pretty tight in the dogs there, and I've got a 3/8 bit on the brace, and I'm going to stand on a stool and drive that hole down at least 9/16 of an inch deep. And I've put the blue tape on it to Okay, that seems to be positioned okay. And I'll just run that down, trying to do it perpendicular, but it probably doesn't matter that much because the dovetail flares out just beyond the top surface here. Okay. Now that's plenty deep. And the next step is to create a little shelf for the saw blade to ride in. And so I'm just taking out a little chip that gives a little shoulder here for the saw. Do that on the other side. And it would be good if I square that hole, 3/8 chisel. Okay. Okay, I'll just clean out the waste there, and I've got a nice open area for the saw to work. I've started sawing this one side of the dovetail. You can see I'm almost down to the bottom of the cut, so I'll go just a little bit further with that. Let me just knock out some of that sawdust up there in the hole. And I tried the tenon saw. This is an English saw, cuts on the push stroke. And it works, but then I got out the dovetail saw and it works a little bit faster. I did sharpen this not too long ago, so it may be that this dovetail saw is a little bit sharper than the dovetails, or the tenon saw. Okay, I think that's about the end of that. Now I've got a little to start it on the other side. I've already got a little chip out there, so and a little shoulder to help position the saw, and I get it started a little bit out at the outer end, and then I'm going to start watching the angle here. Come on down. I can see the angle of the dovetail here, and I'm trying to hold the saw at that angle. It's probably about, I think I made these dovetails about 9 degrees or 10 degrees, which is typical. Now it's possible to set this up with a fixture and use a router bit, but to me that's just going to take longer because I got to design some kind of a fixture and something to hold. I guess that it'd be on the lathe to hold it. And then build the fixture. Looks like I cut it a little bit shallow of an angle, which is okay. That can be cleaned up with chisels. So here you can see both of these are just a tiny bit shallow. So I'll have to just chisel out a little bit of the wider portion of the dovetail. So the next step now is to just chop this all out, and I'll use the chisel to do that work. But I'm not going to pound on the vise. I'll probably turn this around and work this in this direction. I've repositioned the post in this direction, so I'm pounding on the hard part of the workbench, and I'm using a 3/8 inch chisel to just start to clear out this waste. So it'll take a while to clear this out, but pretty easy job to do. I haven't made the legs yet, so I haven't created the dovetails there, the mating part. So I can make them just a tiny bit fat and then work them just to fit the position. So the legs will be numbered and located in a fixed position because there could be some differences in the dovetails. Alright, now that's pretty deep there already. And so I need to be a little bit careful about how deep to go here. Let me just take enough out of here to show me where the bottom of the dovetail is supposed to be. I can go right down to the knife cut on the bottom face here. Getting close. bottom. Just one more position here. And I can put the chisel right in the knife cut. And that's the bottom. Just follow that down. Really don't need a mallet. Just pushes right through those places. So I think what I'm going to do is turn this around and work on it so that I can see from this end and work it this way to make sure that I'm keeping a flat bottom in there. Okay, I've repositioned the post so I can work it like this. Work it from the end and try to get a flat bottom, flat even bottom. And this is going to be, that's 9/16 deep, so that's what I want to work to, 9/16 deep. I've got a little bit of I see that I don't have to go as deep with the drill bit, creating that space in the back. It's deeper than it needs to be. Okay. I think I'm just close to where the 9/16 depth. And that's fairly flat down there. As I sight down through it, it looks really good. Let me see how I'm doing on depth here. Yeah, I'm 9/16 out here, and I'm just a 32nd shy in the back. Probably not going to mess with this much until I make the mating dovetail on the leg and check it before I start taking off. But that looks That looks pretty good to me.